Hey guys, Razorblade Apple Films here, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the Spyderco Delica. So I guess I should start off by saying that I've been carrying this particular knife for about 2 or 3 months. I've been actually, reaching for stuff to use, reaching for this one in particular to use it on stuff, and some of the stuff didn't even need cutting. I was just kind of just seeing how the knife held up. Some of the stuff I did actually need the knife for, and a couple of things I put it through kind of what this knife isn't really meant for, but I just wanted to see if it could do it. And it's held up nice. And I had a Spyderco Delica full flat ground before this, so I actually have a lot of experience with the Delica. I've had that one for about a year, but I sold it because I didn't like how thin the blade was. It just felt kind of flimsy, and it had a little bit of blade play. It felt like I could feel the blade move every time I used it. It just didn't feel very sturdy. So I ended up getting another one. The only reason I sold that one, by the way, is just so I could have the funds to get a Spyderco Sage, which is a lot better knife. I'll do a review on that soon. But yeah, I sold that just so I could get a Sage, but I kind of wanted another one, so I ended up getting another one of these. I ended up getting this particular one, which is a Saber ground version, which means instead of the edge being ground all the way straight up flat, it's ground just from the center line right here. And that in turn makes the blade a lot heavier. Makes the knife heavier. Not a lot, but it does make it heavier. I can tell the difference. I remember my other one was like featherweight light. This one has a little bit of more weight to it. But that being said, it's still only 2.5 ounces. It's still really, really light. And but the added bonus is you get the thickness of the blade. And this blade is really thick for a Spyderco blade. Taking it next to a Paramilitary 2, if you can see that, the Paramilitary 2 kind of tapers down towards the end and gets a lot thinner, and the Delica kind of retains its edge, or kind of retains its thickness all the way to the tip. They're looking about the same size on camera, but in real life you can definitely tell that the Delica is a lot thicker. And I really like that. It kind of gives a little bit more confidence when you're using it. So some of the specs. Actually, let me pretty much just finish what I was saying about the design. So yeah, it's got the Saber ground blade, which I love that. It's got FRN handles, which I really wish they'd make a Delica and G10, which they did a while ago, but that's kind of back before I really liked the Delicas or even knew about Spyderco for that matter. And I've seen people review it online. It's like an olive drab G10. I wish they would come out with that again, except in multiple colors. I would love a black G10 Delica. That'd be like a perfect knife for me. But, the FRN has actually grown on me. I didn't really like it at first. It doesn't feel cheap. It just kind of looked like that in the pictures. It's actually a very hard plastic. FRN stands for fiberglass reinforced nylon. And it's very grippy. It's got bidirectional texturing, which pretty much means they're tilted up this way and they're tilted backwards that way. So pretty much no matter how you're holding the knife, it's always grippy. So there's really no reason you're ever going to lose your grip on this. Lockback, obviously, it's made in Seki City, Japan. You can see right there, it's made of VG10 steel, which I didn't have much experience with. I had pretty much all of my other folders were, kind of cheaper steels. Not cheaper as in quality, but, just like ACR 13 MOV or 420 HC. So I was actually pleasantly surprised to know how well this thing actually held up. But I'll talk about that later. So that's pretty much it as far as the design. It's got the pocket clip. I didn't like the pocket clip at first, just looking at it in the pictures, because it's not deep carry, and I like my knives to be kind of concealed. But I actually really like the pocket clip because it slides in and out of your pocket like easier than all of my other knives. And that's partly due to the fact that it's got this black coating on it. It's really slippery, and it's where the pocket clip meets is on this smooth surface, so it doesn't rip off your pockets. And right there you can see it says Delica 4. It's got the Spyderco logo there on the blade and on the pocket clip. Closed construction, obviously, because it's a lockback. Normally I don't like that. You know, like this knife on paper seems like a knife I would hate. It's got the not deep carry pocket clip, lock back, closed construction, but you know, in the FRN handles, I like G10 better. G10 just looks a little classier. And if you don't know what G10 is, it's basically what's on the paramilitary too. It looks like this. So, you know, it's really grown on me though. Like it was my first Spyderco knife I've ever got. The first one I got was a gray full flat ground Delica. Like I said, I got kind of bored with it and wanted a Sage, but I still came back to it and got this. And this one particularly, I would recommend over the full flat ground. A lot of people talk about the full flat ground version. No one really talks about the Saber, but I really like this one. I don't know, just that thicker blade makes me feel like I want to use it a lot more. Other than that, I've had no problems with it. And like I said, on paper, this isn't a knife I wouldn't really like, but I kind of love it. Perfect size, ergonomics, all my fingers fit perfectly into the grooves, and the thumb just wants to lay perfectly on this thumb ramp. Jimping's not bad. It's not as good as the paramilitary 2, but this is like a $60 knife. This one's a little bit more because the full flat grounds are kind of all the rage right now. This one's like harder to find. It's like $67 around that area. It's like $70 on Amazon, and it's like $66 on Blade HQ, I think. So actually, it's not that bad for what you're getting. You're getting VG10, which is a nice deal, and you're getting just a quality Spyderco knife. The only thing that I really don't like about the knife, and that just pretty much speaks to the design, is you can get a bunch of dirt in here, which I have, and it's kind of like got this gritty sound when you close it, and it's hard to get out. I ended up getting mine out, but it's just something you want to watch out for if you work around a lot of sand or anything like that. Which this isn't really like a hard-use outdoors knife. I'd pretty much just call this a light-use EDC knife. Maybe not even light-use. Maybe a hard-use EDC knife, but not like a hard-use. You know, it's not going to be taking a bunch of abuse. At least I wouldn't put it through that. And one of the other cons I have is I don't like the paint on the pocket clip. I like how it's black, but it just rubs off really easily. Like, I've only had this one for 4 months, if that, and I've been carrying it very carefully, making sure I don't scrape it into anything, and it's still coming off. It's like the paint's coming off the edge, as you can see right there, and I haven't even touched it, barely. So, you know, the paint in the long run is going to come off, and I'm probably just going to take some paint epoxy remover and just strip it off like I did with my Becker coating. So if that can take off Becker coating, it can take off this in a second. So yeah, that's pretty much what I like about the design. Let me show you what it looks like in the pocket real fast. So here it is in my pocket. Like I said, it doesn't really ride that deep, but I've gotten used to it, and I actually really like having the little space right here to grab onto. It just makes it that easier to pull it out. So as far as specs, like I said, you know, it's made of VG10 and made in Seki City, Japan. Overall length is 7.125 inches. Blade length is 2.875 inches. Cutting edge 2.56 inches. Thickness is 0.09 inches, and the handle is 4.25 inches. Ugh, I hate talking about specs. So here, you know, just in case you can't really picture that in your mind, here's a size comparison between some other knives I have. Here it is next to a Spyderco Sage. It's basically almost the exact same size. Here it is next to a paramilitary 2. And here it is next to an SE Zancudo, which is the only other thing I have in my room right now. So as far as deployment, I hear a lot of people talk about it's a very smooth knife. It's really not. It's not a smooth knife. It's smooth for a lockback, and if you like lockbacks, then this is the knife to get, and you like smoothness. Because for a lockback, it flies out. But compared to something like a liner lock or Spyderco's compression lock, it's not that smooth. You know, if you don't give it like a really good flick, you can make it fail. Like, you can flick it out without flicking your wrist, like that. But if you kind of just give it like a gentle, yeah, it's not going to come all the way out. But there are many ways to open it. I mean, you can open it, kind of just roll it out smoothly. You can, flick it open, to get it to open every time, you can flick your wrist like that, you know, it'll come open pretty much no problem. And you know, you can do the Spyderco drop or whatever it's called by holding it like this. Comes open like that. And as far as closing, a lot of people said it's hard to close one-handed or it's impossible. It's pretty easy. All you do is just put your thumb right here and just give it a drop. That little finger guard right here pretty much stops it from cutting you, and then you can just rotate it and close it with your thumb. And you get used to it after a while. It's kind of tedious at first. But actually, one more thing I forgot to say is it's so smooth for a lockback that you can actually open it with your middle finger, something you're not going to be able to do with most knives. So most of my Spydercos are really smooth knives. I can do this with all of them, even the lockbacks, which I only have 4 right now. So yeah, pretty smooth. It's not the best though, because like I said, you can, if you don't give it a hard enough flick, it can, you know, not deploy all the way. I've cut myself on this knife more than most of my others for the simple fact that I've been trying to close it fast, and once it gets to right here, it just flies down like a guillotine. And if you have your thumb or your pinky, actually, you know, I have mine bandaged up right now because of this knife. I was getting ready to review it, and I was like thinking about what I was going to talk about, and yeah, I wasn't really thinking, and I closed it, and my pinky was like that, and it just sliced a chunk off of it. Well, you know, that was kind of my fault, but still something to watch out for. Now in a couple minutes I'm going to roll in some footage of some tests I put it through. I'm not going to do any like hardcore like cutting tests like with ropes and everything. And everybody knows it can go through that, and tape and everything you're going to need in your EDC roll. But I was just going to put some tests that I don't see a lot of people review or put it through on YouTube. So yeah, is this knife good for self-defense? Well, in my opinion, any knife which is a sharpened piece of metal that locks can be good for self-defense. That being said, it's only got almost a 3-inch blade, so you're not going to be able to get that deep. You know, if you hit someone's neck, it doesn't really matter, you know, if you're doing a slash cut. But if you're thinking about using stabbing, it's not going to be great just because it's kind of a short blade. But you know what? Most of the time when someone gets attacked, they're blitzed, so the attacker is not going to give you a chance to use your knife. And if you're getting robbed, most of the time the attacker's got a gun, so you know, a knife versus a gun, that's never really a good scenario. So while I am interested in a knife's self-defense capabilities, most likely you're not going to run into a situation where you have, or where you're going to use it for that. That being said, I'd rather have a knife and not need it than need a knife and not have it. And that's kind of like my entire philosophy of why I carry a knife. You never know what you're going to run into. You need to cut, and you don't want to have to go and find some scissors or something. You know, you just have it in your pocket. So there are a bunch of examples of how a Spyderco knife has saved someone's life, though, not in the self-defense necessarily situation. One guy actually flipped his boat over, and he had a life vest on, and the air in the life vest basically pushed him up, but he couldn't reach the surface because there was a boat over him, and he was pretty much about to drown because of his life vest. So he had a Spyderco in his pocket, and he pulled it out, and he cut the air sac, and he was able to get out and not drown. Another guy I read about had saved his son from a mountain lion attack with a Spyderco Cali. So that was pretty cool to read about. And, you know, my uncle has works around horses, and if he ever falls, you know, like and he's hooked to the horse with a strap, so he has a fully serrated Endura, and he can use that to, like, slice through the... Oh, whoops, my camera just fell. He can use that to slice through the cord pretty much instantly and save himself. So, yeah, there's a bunch of reasons why a knife, no matter how small it is, could possibly save you. So, yeah, it's kind of nice to always have one. And this is the one I've been reaching for most often, because honestly, aesthetically, I just kind of like how it looks. And it is smooth for a lockback, like I said. So overall, I think the knife is pretty good, and let me just roll in some test footage. Alright, here's the test with the Spyderco Delica, the stab test. Really good grip on it, I'll admit that. So, you know, the blade's going all the way in. I mean, I didn't expect anything less. Some people would say with that little drop at the end that it's going to be bad for penetrating, but I don't think that. I mean, you can see right here. I mean, if you're using this knife for self-defense, that's going to have no problem going through flesh. And the tip is really strong too, so I actually really like that little curve at the end. Okay, here's a quick stabbing test with the Spyderco Delica on a piece of wood. I don't know if you can see the tip. Still in good condition. Now here's the spine whack test. Again, I'm always pretty nervous about this with lockbacks. Because of that internal mechanism, it's a lot harder to fix. Usually liner locks, if they fail the spine whack test, you can always just, you know, flick them back open. They'll still lock up fine. But the back lock, you know, once you do it, it's pretty much broken. And this would probably void the warranty too. Alright, passed. That's probably as hard as you'd ever accidentally like whack the knife into something. Yep. So I sharpened this knife about a week ago, and I've been using it very lightly since then, maybe once every other day. So, you know, I haven't really used it that much. It's very sharp right now, and I did just put it through those tests. So let's just see how sharp it still is, which, like I said, I haven't really used it, so it's not really a good example of how well the edge can hold up. But there are plenty of people online who do test, but just to show you, here's just a quick cutting demo. I mean, yeah. For paper, has no problem. Well, okay, that's definitely me, because there's no way it's... You know, even the tip is very sharp, and I shoved that into a piece of wood. Well, I guess it's time for me to end the review because my cat has decided to take a nap on my display board. So, like I said, great knife, guys, really sharp, holds its edge for a while, and overall it's just a great EDC knife, and it's only $60, so I would definitely recommend you get one. And it comes in a bunch of colors too. As far as Saber ground, you're only going to be able to get it in black, stainless steel, and like kind of a dark bluish gray with a wave opener on it. And I actually kind of like that one. So, oh, actually, there's another old one in ZDP made of it's made of ZDP with a racing green handle. I'd like to have that one, but it's going to be a lot of money online. So, yeah, overall a good knife. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10, and I really like mine. Definitely recommend you get one.